Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our monthly training. This is open. It is a quarterly training, so it is open to everyone today. So if you'd like the link to the video recording to share it out with some of your friends and let them know about NDPIO, please let me know. You can send an email to info@ndpio.org. I'm going to try to make this work. There we go. All right. So first, we want to put out there, like we do every month here, about our quick reactionary team. If you're interested in that, please scan that code and you can join the team. This basically is that if you have any issues,
I'm staying with a friend.
if you have your mic on, please have it muted. If you have anything that you need immediate attention to, then this team jumps on it and we will make sure that we get you taken care of. It's kind of fun. It is kind of the essence of PIO and having each other's back. So if you're interested in that, please scan that code or you can reach out and let me know. And then again, I just want to put out there, I know I put it on here every month, but we have the 2 pages. So for those of you who are NDPIO members, we do have a private page that you guys are welcome to be on, but we also have our public page too, and that is for all audiences to learn more about what NDPIO is doing, current news, where we may be traveling to, who our public speakers might be on those quarterly meetings, any kind of trainings that are coming up. We talk about the conference, all of that. We celebrate our members. So make sure that you, not in addition to liking our or joining our private group, make sure you go and like our public group as well. So we have been doing meet and greets and they've been going awesome. And we want to continue that excitement and continue traveling around and meeting all of you, meeting possible new members and sharing our stories, but then also listening to all of you and seeing maybe there's an issue that you would like to discuss. And it's not only board members, but everybody is welcome to go to these. So it's a good way to get opinions and help from a plethora of people. We've been bringing the snacks, bringing the drinks, all of that, pizza, and we just sit down and we chat for a good hour or so. And it's at no cost to the host. We only ask that you just have a place for us to meet. And then we do the marketing. Like I said, we bring the food, the drinks, and the fellowship. So we're looking for somewhere in September. Of course, for the rest of the year too. But it would be nice to head out in September and go out to a town that we haven't met before. Love seeing the small towns. We love seeing the bigger towns. So if you have somewhere you think you could host, think maybe a city hall, a gym, even your office. If you've got a conference room, then we would love to come out there. So shoot me over a message and we would love to set that up. So we have 2 board openings. I don't know if any of you have ever considered being on the board. Obviously, you have to deal with me, so there's an apology in advance. But you also get to deal with John and our other fantastic board members. And I really encourage you that if you want to be more involved in NDPIO, that you consider putting an application out there. It's really easy, honestly. You just submit your resume to us, and we have, I guess I called it an application, but it's not even that. It's just kind of agreeing that you read over the job description and sign that and send it over to us. And it just goes over, the expectations of being on the board. And then on the August 26th, so that is next Tuesday, we are having a board of directors meeting, and we're going to discuss the resumes and the signed job descriptions that we have. and see who we think is going to be the best fit for the board. And that's not to say that if we get more than two, that we wouldn't consider extras or in the future hold on to those resumes and consider them later on as people's terms end. But if you are interested, like right now, you want to join our board, we do have two positions. Get those resumes over to us before Tuesday, preferably, so that we've had time to review everything and discuss. And then we will start letting board members know who have been selected and do an onboarding process with them. So please consider it. It's been really a lot of fun. It's nice to have a voice in what we do and have that help from everybody else, and then also plan that conference in July. So we have some upcoming trainings here. So we have today's on here. September 18th, we have Ashton from the Good Kids. She's going to be talking about branding. October is open. So I do have somebody in mind. I'm going to reach out and see if she is available. I got to learn from her earlier this month in Aurora, and she is fantastic, a former Emmy-winning news reporter who really digs deep. She's kind of known as a bulldog, and I loved connecting with her. And she is super interested in NDPIO and what we're doing in any ways that she can help us. So, fantastic resource. I'm going to see if she's open for October. If not, we will snag her sometime in the new year. And then in November, we have Joe Jarvis, The Light Inside, and she teaches meditation. And while some people may think that meditation is a little silly, it has been fantastic. I was really a non-believer in it, and she taught a bunch of correctional officers and even our residents about meditation and forever changed my mind. So I hope that is a fantastic resource for all of you, as I know that wellness sometimes is the last thing that we do for ourselves as PIOs. And this will be a fantastic little session to understand how it can help you and how you can do it moving forward. Now, she normally does a couple weeks of teaching it, so it'd be like a pretty high level, but it would help you understand it. And then she teaches classes as well. And now I will present to you Phil. So Phil has been fantastic to work with. I got to tag along with him as he did some videos for the DOCR. And so as I told him, you have to come speak for us because I learned a lot just in those couple days from him. And I'm really excited for him to speak with you guys today. I got a little sneak peek of his presentation. The presentation is really cool. And so I hope you guys enjoy it. But he picked up a camera in 2012, and he spent more than a decade helping organizations, nonprofits, and businesses create video stories that move people to action. After leaving careers in both mining and teaching, he launched High Five Media Solutions and Starstruck. Oh, I put photography on your thing there, Phil. I'm sorry, videography, to focus full time on storytelling that makes a real impact. He believes great video isn't about flashy visuals, it's about emotional connection. He's helped communities grow, nonprofits engage donors, and businesses recruit the right talent. When told the right way, stories don't just get noticed, they drive results. So, thank you guys for tuning in here. I will turn it over to Phil to talk about videography.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I put a request in here to share. Here we go. You guys, can you guys see everything that I have here?
I think it's just starting to load. There
Okay.
we go.
And all right, let's do this here. So yeah, thanks for having me, Kaylee. All right. So, a little bit about me first, and what we're going to talk about today first, I guess. We're going to talk a lot about storytelling and how you can engage audiences through storytelling, why I feel like storytelling is one of the best ways. I got a fly flying around in here. One of the best ways to engage audiences. But first, let's just talk a little bit about me. So, who is this guy? That is me at one of my wedding shoots a few years ago, and a little insight, I guess, on my personality. Here's my family life. Um, I have a beautiful wife named Megan, and she keeps me on my toes. And I have two beautiful kids, Tristan and Amani. Today's their first day of school, by the way, and it was quite a morning actually. So I was just kind of going around the house and getting some things ready, and knew I had this going on. I'm like, I better grab the laptop, and because my computer back there doesn't have, I don't have a webcam attached to it. And anyways, I'm like looking all over the house for this laptop and couldn't find it. And I text my wife, and here it's at her uncle's place about 30 miles away or so. So I'm like, oh no! So this morning I had to take a quick jet over and grab it, but she's the one responsible for that little chaos, I guess. So her name's Megan, and she second shoots with me at all the different weddings and stuff that we go to. We still do a handful of weddings every year with our brand Starstruck Videography. A little bit about my interests outside of video work is I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I love hunting. I love fishing. And it's where I go to just kind of let my brain relax. And of course, I love music. And I taught music for 15 years before going full time with video production. That is not a poster I'm too proud of, but I thought it'd be funny because it's a bit incriminating. My friends and my wife still use it against me. Back in the day when I was just starting my music teaching career, I thought that was how I should market myself as the new teacher. And I hung up those around the school. And I don't know what my building principal thought when I showed up with those principals asking if I could hang them up on the wall. But I don't know. They worked, but my friends still use some of these posters to incriminate me. So anyway, I thought you might get a laugh out of that. And music is still a huge part of video and how I work with video. Honestly, they talk about your blue ocean service and all of those things, and I think the way I work with music is really truly a lot of what kind of like my unique approach to video and storytelling. So when I wasn't teaching music in the summer times, when I was off, I worked at Falkirk Mining Company as a tour guide. And this picture was taken about within a couple years of me picking up a video camera the first time at the mine, and I just figured like, man, this is something that the mine totally could use is some video work, and so that was my start. And some employees at the mine saw my work. They hired me to do some weddings. And eventually, a couple years later, I went full time with my first brand, Starstruck Videography, to film weddings. Okay, and so a couple years later, it just kept building. I went full time. I resigned from teaching, and I went full time with video production, and then split Starstruck Videography into two separate brands. So I have Starstruck still as weddings. We're backed off quite a bit on weddings, doing about 5 to 10 a year. And then High Five Media Solutions is more geared towards business work, nonprofit, that kind of stuff, visual storytelling for that type of audience. So that's me in a nutshell. And so I talk about what sets why storytelling is so important, right? And I feel like a lot of approaches that people naturally gravitate to, we as if we're business owners or whatever we're marketing to, we tend to focus on the features of our product or service. And I take a much different approach, and stories are so important because they emphasize the impact of what we're offering or what we need to communicate. And so building that dialogue narrative and connecting what we are doing to how it affects people is so important. Okay. And so we have to show what our audience wants to see. And oftentimes, what our audience wants to see is not necessarily what we want to see. We obviously gravitate towards what we think is flashy and what we think is catchy, but that's not necessarily what our audience is looking for. Me as a video person, I love gear. I love learning about gear and all of that stuff. My audience could care less about gear, what cameras are out coming out and what the new specs are and all the audio equipment and all of that kind of stuff. They could care less about that, right? Same thing with any audience. It's different than what other people are, what the owner interprets as important. And so what does our audience think is important? They want to see testimonials, right? They want to see case studies, and overall, the biggest one is they need to build trust, right? Trust and why they should care about your story. And so whenever I'm building a story out for somebody, there's 3 buckets. And if you ever, I have another presentation that I sometimes give, and this part will probably be in every presentation I ever build because it really is the concrete foundation of every project that I dig into. And when I'm planning it, I focus on 3 buckets. Okay? Those 3 buckets are attractiveness in your offer or your service or the why they should care, right? Number 2 is clarity. Okay, clarity, like what it looks like to be your customer or to take action on the information that you are putting out for people to utilize. And then trust. Okay, are you going to deliver what you say you're going to deliver? And trust, in today's world, trust is the biggest one. So there's an acronym to it, ACT, right? Attractiveness, clarity, and trust. It's the foundation of it all. If you don't have those 3 things, there won't be any action, right? Think about anything that you've bought lately and that you've had to put any kind of thinking to, okay? Let's say you're out on vacation and you need to pick a restaurant. My wife and I are big foodies. Like we build our vacation around where we're going to eat. And the first, what does that process look like when you're buying something or when you're making a decision? Okay, it all follows under attractiveness, clarity, and trust. And oftentimes, I think for me, I find myself, I actually go straight to trust. The first thing I'll look at is reviews. I'll go to Google, and the first place I look at is reviews. Where's there a ton of reviews at? And then I weed it down from there. Then I go into the website and I look at the menu. What do they have, right? That's where you start the features, okay, and those types of things. And then after that, I look at what does it look like? And oftentimes, what we perceive as what the audience wants to see again is not what they want to see. Where do people go for looking for things? Like, I don't necessarily trust always the polished photos that they have on their website, which is important. You need to have that. Yes, you do. But again, I always like to go, what are the candid pictures look like? What do people's food actually look like? Right? And so I think like places like Reddit and forums and things like that are becoming a little bit more popular about how people are seeking out information and what is information that's actually going to help them when they have multiple different options. And so, anyway, I digress. I'm getting a bit off on a tangent here on attractiveness, clarity, and trust, and why that's so important. Um, so we'll talk a little bit about each one. Attractiveness, emotional connection. I put that picture there because I don't know, you couldn't find a more beautiful wife there. I don't know about the guy standing next to her, but anyway, not necessarily that kind of attraction, but attractiveness also means speaking clearly to your client, right? Or to your audience, I should say. Speaking clearly to them. And I made a post a little while ago, right after NDPIO conference, actually, off of Brock's amazing presentation, by the way. That was a phenomenal presentation about how I don't talk to my son the same way as I talk to my grandma, right? And if I talk to my grandma the way I talk to my son, or my son sometimes doesn't know that necessarily, and he'll go up to my grandma right away, and he'll go up to great grandma, hey, dab me up. And she's like, what does that mean? Right? And that's not necessarily an attractive way to communicate to that demographic. Okay. So if you're truly talking to that demographic, then you come across as attractive, right? And so, yeah, don't overlook the emotional aspect of storytelling as well. Building that attractiveness builds an emotional connection. Okay. Um, all right. Kind of flying through some of these here. There's a picture of me. I was at a shoot for a tree service company last year. That was. But the importance of clarity. Let's talk a little bit more about clarity. Okay, clarity, showing the steps and processes involved, and it helps you engage your audience and why they should care about the story you're telling. So, um, using visual aids and straightforward language can enhance clarity. Visuals help depict the process and make complex ideas more digestible for the audience. That's the cool thing about storytelling or about video is a picture just shows one snapshot, where a video can be way more immersive and it can show way more information in a short period of time. And it can communicate so much more clearly and more effectively. Okay. So, trust, building trust through testimonials. That's the first place I go. I'm looking for a hot sauce in the grocery style aisle, something new that I've never tried before. I love hot sauces. I love salsa, and I'm the first thing I'll be standing right in the grocery store aisle with all the options in front of me, and I will like I maybe that one and maybe that one. Let's look at the reviews on it. Okay, reviews are a big part of people's decision making process. And sometimes that involves talking to their friends too and referrals. So trust is established when people hear genuine experiences from one another. These accounts, whether they come from customers, peers, industry experts, they create credibility and authenticity. This is crucial right here. Authentic testimonials. Let me say that word again. Authentic testimonials resonate with audiences, making them more likely to engage with the content. So the power of storytelling. The cool thing about storytelling is we have been using it for thousands of years, ever since the earliest documentation we have is of stories etched into rocks, right? And it shows experiences of why you should care about the information, right? Sometimes we don't listen to those stories and it bites us in the butt. And it usually does. Grandpa tells you, hey, we're all little. Don't put your hand on the hot stove. Don't put your hand on the hot stove. And they might even tell a story. Don't put your hand on the hot stove because this happened to me, right? And we end up still putting our hand on the hot stove and learning it the hard way. But those stories help us reason why, okay, and why we should connect. I'll share a quick story. When I worked at the mine, safety was always like the number one thing at the mine. They care so much about safety, and I think that's the coolest thing. And um, they have many safety meetings we were at, and one of the older, more seasoned employees there, in one of our smaller, more intimate safety meetings that we had per department, he got up and he said, they were talking about why it's important for employees um, to report like close calls or things that they see. And oftentimes employees will kind of not want to do that because they don't want to I don't want to get in trouble for reporting this as a close call. This almost happened. Now I'm kind of like in trouble. And we create this big scene, right? And he shared a story from years ago when he had first started working there at the mine. Um, it was on a flatbed trailer. They were walking in the middle of winter time, and there was a spot that's a high traffic spot, and he said he stepped on that spot and he kind of slipped and he caught himself, and he thought to himself, I probably should report this as because it could have been really, really bad. It was pretty high up actually. I should report this, but he didn't want to create a fuss or anything like that, and get in trouble and create a scene. And he didn't say anything. And then, like an hour later, another guy came, walked in that same exact spot, slipped, and he hurt his back really bad, and he was out of work for like 6 weeks. And he said that weighs on him still to this day, that if he would have said something, that incident wouldn't have happened. And that's why it's important for us to speak up when we see things that could result in an accident. And that always stuck with me, that story. And it just proved a point, and it changed a whole mindset in that meeting. And I think it's a good example of how story can connect why we should care about something. So the anatomy of a great story. How am I doing on time here? Okay. The anatomy of great story, understanding the key components of an impactful story. You have to have a problem. Okay. Identify the problem of your audience. There has to be tension. And this is an important one. And it can look very different in many different types of stories, but every story has to have some kind of tension, right? Kaylee, you can agree on that one. There's a spot in your project where you were like, like that was, it was like really like heavy hitting at that point, and right? Okay, and so it connects and it creates urgency, and yeah, it's just an important part. Every story, you go to a movie, what movie doesn't have some kind of problem and tension? And then there has to be the resolution. Okay. And one thing that we get wrong is we tend to make the story and the resolution about us. And it's not about us, it's about the viewer. The viewer should be the main character in the story. Like, we want to put ourselves as the hero. We're not the hero in the story. The hero is the one with the problem. And we are the guide to solving the problem. And we help the hero be successful. That is how we should be telling a story. It's easy to say, but it's much harder to actually do, is to make the viewer the hero and you as the navigator to success. Storytelling transforms complex information into relatable narratives. I already shared one already, right? Making it more digestible for audiences. It illustrates the significance of the content and connects an emotion, fostering engagement and understanding. Again, story connects why they should care, why they should take action. So let's take a look about attention spans. And like social media plays a huge part in this. And like our attention spans today are so incredibly short, okay? And like around 2010, if you remember the Vine, anybody remember the Vine? That was a big part of like really, I think, like wiring our brains to have a shorter attention span. And that continuous, we kind of got hooked on that. It's kind of like a drug, just that constant next dopamine hit with the next swipe. And about 2015, we see more. It just kind of grew, all right. And of course, you know, a lot of people say 2020 with the pandemic, but I think it was way before 2020. But in 2025, current statistics say the average attention span for the average person's about 8 seconds, and I found that in multiple places. I kind of disagree with that, honestly. I think it's closer to about 3 to 4 seconds. Um, Here's a good test, and I do this all the time with my wife. She'll be sitting there on the couch scrolling social media, and I'll just count. I'll just watch how she engages with social media and how fast she'll swipe. And I'll watch my kids when they're on like YouTube Shorts or something like that, and how fast they go to the next one. And it's mind blowing how fast people will swipe. Okay. You got to catch their attention in the first 3 seconds for sure. I aim to do it in under 2. You got to do something to stop their scroll. And it all comes down to the hook. There has to be some kind of hook, and hooks can look very different. These right here at this spot, we're going to talk a little bit more about like copywriting hook. And I'll be honest, like I'm not the best copywriter. I love the video aspect of what I do, but I do. This is kind of like my framework when I'm grabbing people's attention, even in video too. But this, I think, is even more applicable to copywriting. And I want you to pay attention. We're going to have a little competition here as well later on for everybody. So the first one for a hook, a hook is like the first sentence or the first thing that you write or the very first thing that somebody sees. It's what grabs their attention, okay? And by the way, I go back to this. It's all about the hook, and I love fishing. This is a great analogy because communicating information is much like fishing. Okay, the information that we put out, how we present it, is the fishing lure. And we have to put it in the right place. If you have the right information in the right eye-catching form, put in the right place, you'll have tremendous success. You'll catch lots of fish. But if you have the wrong lure, the wrong information, and you don't have it laid out clearly, you don't have it attractive, you even have it in the right place with the wrong information, you're not going to catch any fish, right? Then we're talking to the wrong audience. You could be in the right place, or you could be in the wrong place with the right information. You still won't catch fish. You got to put the right information in the right place. You will catch fish. So what we're doing is a lot like fishing. All right, so emotion. This picture, I don't know how well you guys can see or how big it is on your screen, but I'm honestly a sappy mess a lot of times. I'm a very like soft-hearted person, and I'm a crier. And so anyway, when I'm working on projects, it's very, very common for me to get really emotional in the process when things just really hit. Yeah, and you can see on that picture, if you can see it, there's like tears rolling down my eyes, and I oftentimes take pictures of myself working and then send it to people as I'm working on their project. Like, man, this is hitting hard. And so, emotion, your hook should evoke an emotion, and that connects them to the narrative on a very personal level. Okay. Your hook can also intrigue your audience. Curiosity. I love leading with curiosity. What's next? Why? What is this? It caught my attention. It's what I think it is. Is it what I think it is? Right? And the biggest thing is if you can catch them and make them curious enough to make them linger beyond like 5 seconds, especially 10 seconds. You get past that 10-second mark, you've got them hooked. They are bought in and they have enough time equity into it. They're going to see the story through. So lead with curiosity. Visualization. Allow them to visualize themselves in that position or visualize a certain situation. Okay? And I put that picture because it has my blue light glasses. A lot of times when I'm editing, I'm not the best at wearing my blue light glasses, but the eye doctors are probably going to love that. But controversy will stop the scroll, and it'll also get a lot of engagement. Stirring the pot a little bit. And then being relatable. Some kind of relatable, something everybody or your audience can say, that's me. Make your audience say, that's me in there. Make them feel called out sometimes. Um, if you catch the funny nuance in that picture, it's relatable. So. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some supplemental hooks that you can that I sometimes use with video. Okay. One thing I keep in mind when I'm making hooks and in video, um, you have to remember you are disturbing a pattern, and they're in the middle of something. Even if they're scrolling social media, what you are putting in front of them, what you are disturbing and disrupting, better be more important than what they're currently engaged in. Okay, and so disrupting audience expectations, catching them off guard. Okay, leading with curiosity, starting with high emotion. It's way easier to catch somebody's attention if you lead with the car chase rather than slowly building up to why there's a car chase. Cut to the car chase and make them like, whoa. And again, that's curiosity too, like building that emotion and making them really like bought into it. Fast cuts and movement, okay, catches the attention. It's quicker than normal, or it makes people stop. If somebody all of a sudden there's a white flash somewhere, like that catches people's attention, right? And remember, oh, movement too. This is a good one for like social media. And eye contact is a big one too. When somebody looks at you, you look at them. It's just natural human instinct. So look away from the camera, and then the instant you look at the camera, just have it so it's really quick. That split second where you're away and then you look at the camera, it will grab people. It will 100% grab people's attention every single time they will look at it, because it kind of simulates you looking at them. Another thing is movement. If you have a little bit of movement in the camera and then it freezes when you say something that's important in your hook, the emotional connection, that freeze in the motion emphasizes what you're saying, but it also disrupts and it grabs people's attention. A lot of times I'll put them together, kind of look down, and I'll go, and it just makes it really catchy and pulls them right in that first second. And then remember, entertainment value. Why are people, if it's social media content that you're creating, why are people there? Why are people wherever it is that your content that you're creating, where you're placing it, why are they there? And we'll use social media as an example because that's probably the most common place. They're there to disassociate. That's why people are on social media. And so you have to keep that in mind and create content that allows them to disassociate. So let's do a little hook challenge here. All right, I'm gonna give you a prompt, and then I want you to write a hook, and we'll see what we get here. We'll pick a favorite one here. Um, So, oops. Let's do a couple of them here. I made a list, and okay. So I want you to write me a hook for where are we at here? Okay, for bicycle helmets. The importance of riding a bicycle helmet.
Go ahead and put those in the chat and we'll read them off.
Remember, emotion, intrigue, visualization, controversy, or relatability. And disrupt. Don't be afraid to disrupt. Create curiosity. People are on if it's social media, you know, people are there to disassociate a little bit too. We'll go for another like 15 seconds here. All right. Ooh, imagine someone you love jumping on their bike to go on a quick ride. Unexpectedly, they hit a bump in the road and crash. They are injured. This changes everything. Wear your helmet and avoid the injuries. Your brain is priceless. Protect it every ride. Don't lose your head. The one time you forget your helmet, maybe the last time you forget or remember your helmet. Ooh. Do you like bikes? I like it. Starting out with a question. So do I. Wear your helmets so we can ride again tomorrow. Awesome. Could do the whole egg thing with the like this is your brain on drugs. You can be like, this is your brain when you don't wear a helmet. So, um, awesome. Let's do one more. Let's do let's do two more. Um, well, one more. Stay hydrated. Why you should stay hydrated. We'll just do one more. Oh, all right. For some reason, okay, I lost my chat on here. Oh, here we go. All right, staying hydrated. I love it. Using the bathroom because you're hydrated may be annoying, but you know what else is annoying? Being in the hospital for dehydration. Good one. Water, the original energy drink. Good. Paula, is this the first day of school up in Williston? Water fuels the body and mind. Drink responsibly. Good. Third day, holy smokes. In routine now. All right. First for kindergarten. Okay. Um, yeah. Staying hydrated. Did you know most Americans don't spend enough time in the bathroom? Is what I wrote. So, on those. Again, curiosity, starting with a question, right? Why don't they spend enough time in the bathroom? Okay. Um, okay, so let's mosey on rather than take too much time in this. Um, let's talk a little bit. What's going on here? All right. Pacing. What is pacing? Pacing is the rate at which you are putting information out. Okay. And there's lots of different ways you could do it. It could be in how you write it. Okay. How fast the audience is getting the information, and how much detail and depth that you're giving. In video, a lot of times pacing can be how fast the cuts are, how fast you're going from one scene to another scene to another scene. Um, it could be a lot of times it correlates with music, and the more intense the music is, the faster the pacing will be. And pacing plays a huge role in keeping your audience's attention. And you can't just have the same pacing throughout the whole thing, or else it just becomes mundane. So there has to be variety in your pacing. And pacing can set your audience up to receive important information. And pacing can set your audience up to capture their attention at the beginning. So, some things about pacing would be like your sentence length. I love this picture, by the way. That was the other week, a couple weeks ago or so. I had a shoot for a nonprofit. My son's been begging me to come along on a shoot and help out, and this was like the perfect opportunity. It was with a repeat client, and they were like totally on board. It was for a cause, helping kids, and so I brought my son along, and he helped set up tripods and cameras, and he absolutely loved it. But anyway, sentence length has something to do with, helps you with your pacing, okay? Adjusting the sentence length. And so when the pacing picks up, when the cuts go faster and the music picks up speed, or dynamic, I should say, oftentimes my comments in the audio dialogue get shorter. Okay. I also try not to keep one person speaking for too long, because that's another form of pacing when you're moving from one person to another person. It when you have multiple people and you're moving quickly, it helps build trust, because now you have multiple people all telling you the same story. What's more trustworthy to get you to take action? When one person tells you to do something, or when you have three or four or more people all telling you to do something and take action on something? Okay. Look at the TV show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. I always look at this one with attractiveness, clarity, and trust, right? It's multiple people all telling you, like, you got to come try the pancakes at this restaurant, right? And it's showing you like the attractiveness portion of it, what they look like, and the people that are there. And then the second thing is how they show you the process, how they make these pancakes, and more credibility, more reviews and testimonies of people in the restaurant, and showing it packed. And before you know it, you want to drive to Florida, go try these pancakes, right? Anyways, getting off topic. Scene changes. I talked about video, how it cuts to when you move from one scene to another scene to another scene. That is pacing and how you can keep their attention. When the music slows down, you should probably usually have longer cuts. And then the role of music. Oh boy, another one of those incriminating photos that I hung up around the school. Oh dear goodness. I can't believe I did that. Anyway, music sets the tone for your pacing, and it's the first place that I start with. Okay. All right. So, effective pacing is essential for maintaining audience engagement and enhancing the retention of key information by controlling the speed at which a story unfolds. So you've made the videos. This is the part where Kaylee was like, you got to share this with everybody. Okay. I see a lot of mistakes on how people implement video. Okay. Number one, post your video organically. Don't post links. I see this all the time. They'll take the video, put it on YouTube, and then they take the YouTube link and they post the YouTube link on social media. That's like the worst thing you could possibly do for a number of reasons. Okay, number one, you have to remember all of these social media platforms are competitors of one another. Why would they promote you going from Facebook to YouTube? They don't want that. Okay. You also have to remember that the viewer, the audience that's on Facebook at that time when they see it, they're on Facebook for a reason. They want to be on Facebook. They don't want to be on YouTube. They're not clicking an external link to go someplace else. So your views are going to go way, way down. Okay. The engagement is going to go down too, like how long they watch. When they're on social media, Facebook, they're like drugged up on dopamine, or Instagram and YouTube. It's a little bit more. You can get away with it. They're there for longer content on YouTube typically. Okay, different types of content. So post your videos organically. Okay, and avoid using links. Aim for engagement, okay, an engagement benchmark. Prioritize quality over quantity. So a lot of people get with the engagement and the views and all of that, the last two, wrapping that into one. A lot of people get wrapped up into views. Oh, we got 10,000 views on this video. Like that means absolutely nothing. Who was it? The right people. That's all that matters. Like I'll take 10 views from decision makers or people that it actually this information affects them and they can make a big difference with this information than 10,000 doom scrollers. Okay. When it goes viral, a lot of times it's just doom scrollers and it's people that they scroll up and the second they scroll up, they forgot what they just saw. Okay. So, yeah, social media is important. And it's ideal for sharing information, and every social media platform is different. Okay. Other places you can put video, email signatures, put it on your website, show it at a job fair. If you do that, you should probably have captions. By the way, on social media, you should have captions too. Majority of your viewers are watching it on silent. They are not watching it with audio. Okay. If you have meetings and those types of things, That's a great place to show it. And they're all very different types of audiences. Okay. Storytelling is great because you can go in depth with meetings. Social media, it's got to be pretty quick moving. You got to be straight and to the point. So, key takeaways: attractiveness, clarity, and trust, building hooks that engage and keeping their attention with pacing, and remembering to be to focus on quality engagement versus quantity. Also, with engagement, remember that you're not seeing all the engagement. There is engagement happening behind the scenes that you can't see, where they are taking the link and people will message it to their friend to go watch it. Hey, you should watch this, and they message it directly. You can't really track that type of engagement. So, are there any like questions at all or any comments? I got nothing. I think they're quiet there. All righty.
I think John had something. John had.
Oh, John, go for it.
Yeah, I've got one, and I've been I work for the city of Grand Forks. I've been doing this a long time. I'm on year 19 now, and I've just noticed that when we do video and all that fun stuff, how we shoot is different now, compared to when I started. How how what content really does well. Like I can put videos up and I know it's going to tank, but I'm checking a box. Um, from your standpoint, you're doing more, probably less social media, more larger scale type videos. But what have you seen changed in the type of video that you're getting asked for?
Well, people automatically go to social media. Like when they think of video, that's just the first thing that they go to is social media. And I'm like, oh man, there's so many more doors that could be opened outside of social media and how you use it. And so, yeah, I think long form. I think also there's such a now like a more unpolished. They want things very authentic and natural. You know, they're not looking for the like clean cut corporate look as much. There's still a time and place for that, absolutely. But that's a big shift that we're seeing, and I think you're going to see more and more of it. Does that answer your question, I guess?
Yeah, it was more of just like, I come from the news side, or you put it trying to tell a story in 3 minutes, to now it's, right, and if you can't do it on an Instagram reel, it's not worth doing. So
Oh, I totally disagree. And that comes down to your quality over quantity, you know. I'll yeah, especially when I mean, we'll use the meeting as an example. Like when you have an audience that is there, and when we're at the NDPIO meeting and they show a video, we all watch it, and we don't have an option to watch it, right? It's there. That's a very different audience than the one that can freely swipe. Um, like I said, quality over quantity. I'll I'll take. We'll use a nonprofit I did for a video I did for a nonprofit that they got a lot of views and stuff, and I told them straight out like I would be like it was for more outdoor stuff, and I told him like I would forfeit all your views if say like the CEO of Bass Pro Shops were to watch this. Like that would be a view that could change your entire life. That one view versus all 10,000 views of the quote unquote doom scrollers, I call them.
You
Any
have
other
one in
questions?
the chat there, Phil,
Oh,
from Tara. She says, "Do you recommend doing the captions in your video editing software or allowing the social sites to do it and then editing as needed?"
I feel like you can do it a lot more if you do it in the software. You can make them a lot more. I don't know. It depends. For me, when I'm batch creating content, it's way easier for me to do them in the software. say like Adobe, because I can do the captions for all of the videos all at once. Where like if I'm doing one at a time off of my phone, oftentimes I'll just use CapCut. There's so many different options in writing CapCut, and they're really good. But I would not just rely on the social media platforms, say like Facebook or, they're little ones that come across. Like they're just not as engaging, and like 90% of your audience is watching it on mute, so you might as well talk to that audience and have them big and engaging right there that capture their attention. One interesting thing that I saw too, one of my LinkedIn friends, I haven't done anything on this, and he did a test on landscape video, and he said on LinkedIn that his tests are showing that landscape video is actually coming across better on LinkedIn than it is vertical, because it shows up more naturally and you can see more of the copy, where a vertical video is just so much more in your face and forced on you. He's seeing like twice the views and twice the engagement on it, and something to play around with. I haven't played around with that yet. Social media went to vertical, and us video people did not like that at all. And honestly, I will gladly take going back to horizontal, but something to think about.
I think that's all that we have for questions here today, Phil. But I want to remind everybody on here that you are more than welcome to reach out to either us or Phil directly if you have any questions, interested in his work, anything like that. Check out his website. He has a lot of great video examples on there. And Phil, we just want to say, on behalf of NDPIO, thank you so much for taking the time and a whole hour out of your day to talk with us and teach us a little bit more about videography. And I hope a few of us are able to ask some questions of you and learn quite a bit from you today. So thank you again. We'll have this recording up on our website, and if anybody needs it for sending out to anybody, I will get that link to you guys as well. So thank you, Phil.
Awesome. Thank you.